just when you thought it was safe to trust VAR again. I'm just kidding. Who actually ever trusted VAR to begin with, right? I mean, it was always a stupid decision. Anyways, hello everyone, my name is Mason the Brock Henderson. You might notice that I am I'm probably going to be mixing up my words a lot. I'm probably going to be like squinting and maybe yawning a little bit. It's late. I didn't get a chance to actually go to the game today because I was busy doing work. So yeah, I got to watch it though, obviously taped on TV. And I mean, it was a good win, but I do have to express my frustrations with VAR and the referees today for a couple reasons. I will grant them, okay, the handball on us, we'll talk about that one really quick. I understand Chicago's fans' point of view saying, oh, his arm is up, but at the same time, if you look at it from our side, I mean, his back is turned, he has no idea what's going on behind him, so the fact that it was so close, and it's him jumping and turning, and as he's coming down, his arm's still up for balance, and that's when it hits right here. You look at that, and you can kind of see why the refs decided not to give it, so it's kind of a balancing act. One ref one day might call that, say, you know what, his arm is up, so I'm going to give that penalty. Today's ref decided he didn't want to. But to make up for it, he then takes away our penalty in the second half. And this one, it pisses me off because, once again, the VAR is used incorrectly. Because you're not supposed to use it to overturn an objective decision. It's there to correct clear and obvious mistakes. Escobar, he saw him tug his arm a little bit. Wasn't enough to throw him off. It wasn't enough for him to go and fall to the ground because he dove. The ref saw that. He made his decision. Play on. Penalty. Okay. Done deal. But VAR says, no, you looked at that wrong. You didn't see that correctly. You need to change your opinion. That's dumb. That's not how you use VAR. It happened to us, was that last year or this year? I think it was this year when we played Red Bulls. Whenever Martinez, he and the defender are going at it. Defender tries to cut him off, trips himself up, falls over. Martinez is in behind. The referee says, no call, goal. And then he says, oh, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it again, my objective opinion has changed. I'm going to say no. That's not how VAR works. That's not what it's used for. You're not supposed to be able to do that, and they've done it to us twice now. And it's pissing me off because it feels like we're the only team that this is happening to. Because you look at the Red Bulls Philadelphia game, which I didn't get to watch, but I saw the highlights they were pulling up. They were gifted a ghost penalty. I didn't see anything wrong with that. I don't know if maybe there was a handball. Is that my phone? I don't know if there was a handball that maybe was on the other side, but if there was, the guy's arm was right here. So how are you giving a handball for that? There certainly was not a foul because both people were going up for the ball. Just because the guy falls over and rolls, you're going to give that a penalty? And so now Red Bulls are once again 1 point behind us. Stop buzzing, you stinking... Sorry. But seriously, I mean, we're getting goals taken away from us for VAR, and Red Bulls are being gifted goals. I've seen that happen to them at least 2 or 3 times this year. Why is that happening? I mean, I'm one of the few people that I think will joke about conspiracies without actually meaning it. But there's something going on here to the point where I'm frustrated that VAR is taking away our goals for dumb reasons. The referee makes a decision. He's decided, I see that tug. It wasn't enough for him to go over. It was too light. I'm not going to give that a foul. Martinez gets tripped. It's a penalty. And then VAR is saying, no, you need to look at it again. And he's going, oh, you know what? Now that I'm looking at it in slow motion from a different angle, I'm gonna say no, that is a foul. So let's go and get out of here. We don't want to give Atlanta another goal and wrap up the game. No. We want to keep this interesting until the very, very end. So yeah, I'm really frustrated with the referees. I feel like VAR is being mistreated in the way that it's being used because you shouldn't be able to do that. You shouldn't be able to look at a foul that you decided was not a foul and then decide, oh, never mind, it is a foul. Because it's abusing the power of VAR, and you shouldn't be doing that. I'll have to look and see who the VAR was real quick while I'm still talking because I have an idea of who it might have been. We'll see. But anyways, So while this is pulling up, because my phone takes forever, I will talk about Tata and his decisions today. First of all, the lineup. Pretty interesting overall, I think. Just because, I mean, obviously with some of the injuries we have, it's very difficult for us. It is very hard right now to deal with some of the people we have missing. You know, no Tito, no Miguel. Those two very key players in our attack. So without them in, it's always going to be difficult. Sorry, it's just now pulling up. Um, so with that being said, the switch that he makes, I kind of like it, but at the same time, I wish it was a little bit different. Because he ends up going with more of a 4-3-3 with Barco and Carlton up top with Joseph as the central striker. Not a bad decision, and honestly, I think it's a bit better than our 4-2-3-1 formation just because it leaves us more cover in the midfield. It leaves us a defensive mid, almost kind of like a stopper that sort of sits in the middle and holds that space. And I liked it. I liked what that showed. It's better than our 4-2-3-1 where both midfielders are sort of just standing up there in the middle and there's no cover in behind, so there's always that gap in between the midfielders and the defense. So the fact that we had that today, okay, now it's up. Let's see. How do we get over? That's not what I wanted. Now my phone's just being stupid. But the fact that we had that cover in behind our midfield, that person that was sort of holding that gap, it made us look a bit more solid than we normally do with our 4-2-3-1. I still don't feel like it's as good as our 3-4-3 formation, but I can kind of understand him wanting to maybe not go with that today because he wanted to have Barco and Carlton be more of the width than having McCann and Gressel. And on top of that, I think he's realized that McCann is not fit for the left wing back role. I think they were saying that George Bello was out with the U17s this past international break, so maybe he's still a bit tired, maybe he's not ready to go, so maybe you just don't want to throw him in. And Garza is just now returning from injury, so maybe you don't want to throw him in either. And so instead of going with the two wing backs, you just decided to go with the back four. Maybe that's the thinking. I'm not entirely sure, but I do think if you compare these two formations, I think the 3-4-3 is still much more solid. It gives us more attacking, flowing movement up top, and it makes us a lot more solid defensively. Where are the... Do they not want to show me the referees? Nah, whatever. Wasted all my time on that. But yes, so looking at all of that, I don't mind the lineup. I don't mind the players he put out there. You know, giving Andrew Carlton a bit of a go. Not a bad decision. I think he probably does deserve a bit more time. He has the potential to be a good MLS player. But then his subs I thought were a little strange. Only two, first of all. And one was Lorenowitz for Carlton, which, you know, it pushes Julian out of the midfield. It makes us a bit more solid defensively in the middle because you have him sitting in the middle of the three. And then you bring on Kevin Kratz for Barco. And that one I really don't understand. It's just, I don't know, it seemed weird. Like, first of all, why Kevin Kratz? You know, what is he going to do? What is he going to bring that you couldn't get from another player? I mean, obviously his free kicks are really good, but as far as his play on the field in the past few games he's been involved, it hasn't been the best. And why are you taking off Barco? You know, why is that the sub? That's the one that really kind of confused me. I'm like, you know, not necessarily saying he's doing a whole lot in the second half, but it still felt like he was the one that was creating the best chances. He was the one that we'd get the ball up to, and he wasn't losing it very easily. You know, if he would lose it from time to time, but it felt like every time he did, it was more of he still battles to try to win it back. It felt like everybody else, when they gave it away, that was it. You know, they give the ball away and then they're done. He would actually sort of get back a little bit and try to help out, at least from what I saw. I did sort of fast forward through the last part of the second half because I was just so tired. But with that being said, you look at the individual performances. Brad and goal, still very solid, still very confident back there. Liked what I saw. The back four, all four of them today, I thought played pretty well. If I had to pick the weak link, I'd say Chris once again. He doesn't look like he has it anymore. I feel like that center back position sort of ruined him in the fact that he now has a position he should be playing. Sort of similar to Julian a little bit, where I think the right wingback position, for me at least, showed me what his potential is. Showed me that, okay, when he's out there, that is exactly where he needs to be, because he can. It doesn't matter if he's walking around a little bit. It doesn't matter if he's not tracking back or if he's not really getting up and helping as much. He can sort of rest in between because he doesn't really have the stamina to go box to box for a full 90 minutes. And then you put him in the midfield and ask him to do the same thing. Well, now he has to be a lot more aware because he's in the middle of the field as compared to out wide, where it still matters, but it doesn't matter as much. He doesn't track back. Okay, well, he's got a defender behind him to cover. If he doesn't track back in the midfield, there's a chance that he doesn't have a defender behind him to cover because that defender's already covering somebody else. So I feel like for Chris, it's kind of a similar thing where when I saw him in the center of defense, he looked solid there because he didn't have to get up the field at all. He could just stay back there. He's a big body. He's good at winning the headers. He's good at defending as well. And so now that I see him on the fullback or the wingback position, he just doesn't look as good because he tries to get down the field and get back, and he can't really do both, and he's not as effective in the attacking third either. So I'm just kind of like, I feel like that position ruined him for me because now I see his potential in one position that's being wasted in another position, if that makes sense. But as far as the other three, Perez, once again, has fully impressed me as this season has gone along. He completely pushed aside the Houston performance, and ever since has just been growing and growing as a defender, and now he's a good defender. He is very solid. He's not as sporadic. On the ball, he's good. Defensively, he's good. Parkhurst, still a leader back there, has his moments where you can tell. I think he's starting to get a little bit legged as the end of the season gets nearer and nearer. He doesn't look like he's able to go as long, as hard as he has for most of the season. So I'm hoping, maybe give them a bit of a switch out. I think if we do go with the back three, the other thing that helps with is you can sort of switch who you have in the middle of that three, either Parkhurst or Laurentowicz. I think you have one of them in there in the middle of the back three. They're more of the anchor. It's not as much wear and tear on them, and it allows for you to switch them so now they can rest for a bit, and then you can bring them in for the next game. So that's just something, I think, something else that really helps with the 3-4-3 formation. And then Escobar on the right side, honestly, didn't really see anything spectacular from him. Obviously, the goal was well taken. But overall, I was really impressed with his work rate today. I thought he looked a lot more confident in the right back position, and that's not something I've seen from him most of the season. Most of the time, I think he's been a little bit hesitant. He doesn't really read situations very well, so sometimes he can get caught out. Today, I thought he did well. And once again, this may be another situation where he plays the best at right back. And so whenever you put him at a center, like one of the three center backs, or you put him at the right wing back, he's just not as effective there. And so maybe in a back four is where you need him the most. So when we go to a back three again, maybe you don't need him. It's just these things that I noticed, these things that I'm just like, I feel like today he looked a lot better. Maybe it's because of this formation. I don't know. I do feel like certain formations do suit certain players. Maybe that's just the case with him. This back four suits him a lot better. Possibly. Who knows? But yeah, I thought he had a good game today. Not the strongest of the back four, but definitely showed what he's capable of today. Then your midfield three, Nagbe, Remedy, and Gressel. Of the three, I thought Eric was the one that was sort of sitting back a bit more defensive, while Darlington was making those breaking runs up the field, and Julian was sort of, I guess, kind of combining the play a little bit more. I'm not really sure what his role was, because at times it felt like I'm sitting there thinking he needs to get back and defend, and then there are other times where I'm thinking he needs to be more active on getting on the ball. So I felt like he could have done a bit more on both sides of it, and once again, this is just because I've seen what he can do at the right wing back. I don't think he's as effective in the midfield. So, I mean, I know that we're just kind of throwing him in there because we need to have certain players play certain positions, some that play out of position depending on the situation, but it's still a far cry from where I think we've seen him this season whenever he plays that the right wing back position. Darlington and Eric both, I thought, had pretty good games overall. Darlington faded out near the end, and Eric did have his moments of slip ups, but overall they did work hard and they played well. So I was impressed. I felt like it could have been a bit better. But another part of that is I think they had difficulty sometimes combining with the three in front of them because one, two of the players up there are different now, and two, I thought that Joseph today just really didn't help us as much as he could have. I mean, he had his moments, but overall, I mean, you've got the missed chances that he had. You have the fact that there are times where he just sort of disappears. The only time that he really feels like he wants to get involved is when we get the ball out wide and then get it into him. Those are the moments where I feel like he's really turned on and he's ready for it. But when we have the ball in the middle of the field, especially when Miguel's not in, now that I can see that, he doesn't feel like he gets involved. Doesn't feel like he wants to try to drop back, receive it to his feet as much as he does whenever we have, Miguel up there with Tito as well. So I do think that hurt him a bit today, but I just wanted to see a bit more finished product from him. He's one-on-one with the keeper. He hits him in the shoulder. Nagby sets him up one-on-one with the keeper. He takes 3 touches and the keeper's closed him down. So many chances where throughout most of the season, if you give him that chance, he's going to score it, and then today he misses like 2 or 3. It's not good enough from him, from his point of view. So hopefully this isn't like a drought. Hopefully this isn't something that's going to carry over into the playoffs. Fingers crossed. And then you've got Barco and Carlton flanking, and Barco I thought was pretty good today. Showed a lot more of the potential, what we bought him for. This is more of what I expected to see. Taking players on, trying to be effective, and it really did cause problems for the defense. Even if it wasn't always effective in creating a chance or getting a goal, it forced defenders to have to come over and help, which means now it's drawing attention away from other players. And that's where I think Barco he needs to get that final growth to really become one of our better players, is after he draws the players over, after he draws attention from other players, other teammates, that's when he needs to release. That's when he needs to find the person that just became open. Because most of the time he's got his head down, so whenever he gets double teamed, he doesn't realize that somebody's now open, and so now he's just dribbling into nowhere, and then eventually, because he's very small, very tiny, it's easy to body him off the ball. Most of the time he just falls over and then looks at the ref. It's just like, dude, that was an awful dive. No, get up. So I do think he still needs to grow a bit more, and I think that's one thing that will really help him, is to get his eyes up and see, all right, I've just drawn this player over, now where can I find the pass? Now where's the open space? And he and Chris need to form better communication. I mean, they're probably not going to be playing together a whole lot, if I had to guess, but I mean, there's just too many times where it felt like the passes between them were just not connecting today. And you would expect it to get better by the end of the game, but in like the 75th minute, they're still passing balls out of bounds because they have no idea what the other's doing. So, a little bit frustrating there. Andrew Carlton, kind of in and out of the game, moments where he sort of came alive, did something fascinating. It's like, oh yes, the young kid is doing stuff, and then parts of the game were just sort of faded out. And that's kind of been, whenever he does get those moments to play, it's kind of those flash in the pan moments during the game. And while that's good for a youngster, you need to keep improving. You need to keep growing your game. Because for a youngster, great, you have those flash in the pan moments, you do that one great thing, and then you're quiet for the next 10 minutes. Oh, okay, but he's young, he's still growing. But how long is that excuse going to work? Ezequiel Barco is young, but he is creating chances nearly every couple minutes. Andrew Carlton is creating a chance maybe once every 10 minutes. So that if you put that together all game on average, that's about 9 chances a game. That's not really what you want to see out of your attacking players. Players like Miguel and Ezequiel and Tito, they're creating like several good chances in a half. Not all of them are shots, but they're creating opportunities. They're creating chances to get a shot off, and it's either blocked or, no, we need to, there's nothing here, so we need to get it back out. But they're doing something that's affecting the play. And Carlton, I'm just not seeing enough of him doing that. He works very hard, and I do see that side of things, and I do appreciate the hard work he puts in, but he's got to grow. He's got to get better. He's got to really start to get involved in the game instead of waiting for the game to come to him. And I just don't think he's doing enough of that. So, with all that being said, the two subs that came on, Jeff was the first one, and I love Jeff, but I just don't think he's as effective coming off the bench. I think the same thing about Parkhurst as well. I think both of them are at that kind of stage in their careers where when you start them, when they're warm, when they're ready to go, it's great. But when you bring them off the bench, they're definitely not as effective just because they're coming on and it's harder to get warmed up when you've been sitting and watching the game. And most of the time, they'll be warming up throughout the game. But it's still kind of like, yeah, but I'm not going in at game speed. I'm going in just having been running up and down the line for a little bit. So it definitely shows. There are a couple giveaways. He still works very hard. He's still kind of a bulldozer in the midfield. But there are a couple giveaways for sure that kind of made me go, ooh, maybe not a good idea to bring him in. And then Kevin, didn't really do much. He had only a few minutes to do something and just didn't really notice him. But overall, it was still a good win. It keeps us in the driver's seat. Obviously, we got to go to Toronto next weekend for the final game. And I feel like we have to get a win because, Red Bulls are pushing hard. They're getting the referee decisions that they need to as well. So it's like they're playing well and the referees are helping them out. So we've got to play well and hope that the referees don't screw us over like they normally do. And that's all we can hope for. You just got to put on a good performance and you got to take it to them. And honestly, Toronto has not been playing too well. They crashed out of the Champions League and they never really bounced back. They never really recovered. So they've had kind of a bad year. And so now's the chance to take advantage of that. Now's the chance for us to say, this is our year to win. This is our year to get the Supporters' Shield. Honestly, I could care less about the playoffs because I feel like the playoffs are kind of what makes the MLS a joke. So I would prefer to just win the Supporters' Shield outright and say we won the league. And who cares what happens in the playoffs at that point? I know a lot of people will say, oh no, but the MLS Cup, you need to win that. Honestly, I prefer the Supporters' Shield because that means we were the best over a 34-game season. And that's, in my opinion, more impressive than, we won 3 games. Congratulations. So anyway, those are my thoughts. I'm really hoping to see a bit more productivity. I'm hoping to see a bit more of a change next weekend, maybe to sort of adjust to the fact that we're probably going to be facing a Toronto team that's going to be looking to take it away from us. I doubt that they're going to come out and just go, you know what? We've had a bit of a rough season. Maybe we should just go ahead and take it easy for the... No. We are the team to beat right now. We're the team to come in. Look at Chicago today. They were out of everything. Out of the playoffs. They've had a terrible season. They came in ready to play. They came in ready to take points away from us because they're like, we want those bragging rights. Any team can do it on any day. And so we have to be ready. We have to come in with a mindset of we're taking this game to them. We're going to show them what we're made of. And we're going to win the Supporters' Shield doing it too. So, those are all my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on today's game? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Lenny United reviews. And I'll see you guys in the next game. Peace out.